limping around.
And the litter box.
Hey, knee replacement. Yeah, last.
I'm going to call the meeting of March 4th to order. If everybody, actually, we're not going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to turn it over to the mayor to announce our special guest tonight.
Thank you. Is it lights on? Over the last about a year or so, we've looked into being a group of communities that are working together in what is called the First Calls program. The First Calls program introduces mental health and social workers along with police officers that will help in many different issues that come up in community policing. And we're fortunate tonight, we've invited Annette Wallace, who is the director for the First Calls program that is currently operating out of Shaker Heights, and Orange Village is looking to become one of the next tranche of communities that will be part of this program that will include partners with Pepper Pike, Beechwood, and Solon as the next team. And so I thought it might be appropriate to have Annette come here, tell us a little bit about it so people can become more familiar with it. The county is actually going to be financially supportive of this program, and we will be undergoing a process to get a grant from the county to be able to participate in this. So, Annette, why don't you come up?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thanks for having me here tonight. Super excited to talk about the First Call program. I do have some handouts. If you guys would like to have one or however you would like that. So I've been asked to keep brief because I know you all have a lot going on tonight. So just a big overview, kind of how it all started with the First Call program. It actually started as a pilot in the city of Shaker Heights in 2022. And at that time, I was a mental health professional that had kind of started this. And we were in partnership at that time with Metro Health and their affiliate Recovery Resources. And during the pilot, it kind of started as like a true co-responder model where it had a mental health professional, myself, riding along with our police and fire department going to mental health or other related calls. As the program continued, it began getting some traction and showing that it was successful in serving residents of Shaker Heights and giving them kind of this different avenue of a service and a response and really encompassing a person as a whole where it wasn't just typical mental health related calls. It's so much more than that because as we know, it's not that simple to say this is a mental health issue because it's so much more than that when we're talking about physical health, mental health, person's social needs, insurance, food stamps, housing. And so the program at Shaker Heights began to transform where it turned into more of like an alternative response, which is a mental health professional kind of doing things a little bit more independently from our first responder partner. We gained traction again with the communities that are around us in HHCC, that's part of CVD. That includes Cleveland Heights, again Shaker, South Euclid, University Heights, and Richmond. I always feel like I'm missing University Heights, Richmond. Oh my goodness. I say it 20 times a day and I always miss one. And we had conversations of could we expand and make this program something that would be in our region and working together to share a resource. So with their commitment to the program, we applied for our first grant, which was through the COPS office, which was a federal grant where we received our first $400,000 to start the program and launch it again into those 4 communities with Shaker as well. And so with that, we built teams. So our program now operates this way, where we have teams of mental health professionals. So these are licensed folks, so people with a license of social work or counseling, as well as peer supports, so someone with lived experience, and as well as specialists, so people with a master's degree but maybe don't have a license. And so in teams of 2, they go to calls that are coming into the 911 center. So we're responding simultaneously with, but separately from our first responder partners, where dispatch, the 911 center gets that call, they code it and how they need to do their thing, they send their first responders that need to go, and then we are added to those calls. So call types we're added to right now are mental health, again, related, but also unruly juvenile, family trouble, overdose. Sometimes we go to panhandling, different things like that, depending on kind of what that dispatcher will see. But then also first responders, when they're on scene, they can determine that maybe more a mental health professional would be helpful. So that could be a traffic stop. We've been to those where someone had said they were living in their car. We have been to active house fires. We have been to incidents where maybe somebody was found deceased to help the family grieve that process. We go to a lot of physical health related calls. That's lift assist, or someone who's maybe having a hard time inside of their home and they want to remain there, but they don't quite have the resources. And so again, we have 3 teams that cover our 5 cities. And with that, we have one that will float in and out dispatch as well to help our call takers maybe gather information or handle calls that people just want to talk to somebody. And it's maybe not appropriate for our first responders to go out, but not however we figure that out. And so along with going, or let me back up. So how we go to calls. So again, we receive it from the 911 center. We receive the referrals. And then we go in our own vehicles. We have our own radios. We have our own phones. We're kind of this independent unit that we're able to go and be that partner, but we don't need first responders in regards to transporting us or telling kind of what's going on. We're able to be very independent. With that independence, we're also to kind of handle calls that maybe come in that aren't appropriate for our first responder partners. We had one yesterday, where it was just an individual who was confused and they just wanted someone to talk to, and our first responders, that wasn't necessarily appropriate for them to go to, so we went. There was no safety concerns, there was no weapons present, anything like that. The dispatcher determined, and so we were able to assist with that individual. And then after the crisis, to me, that's one of the most important parts of the work that we do is after the crisis. It's not so simple to just go to the hospital and be like told, okay, you figure it out from here. I mean, I have my own experience. I still remember when I had my son and they hand you this little baby and said, now you have to make your appointments and also take care of yourself and have a good time. And so we're also expecting our individuals that have experienced a mental health crisis or a physical health crisis to do the same thing. The systems aren't easy to navigate. And so that is a lot of work that we do, linking to services, allowing that individual to explore kind of what they want, what they need, and us allowing them and assisting them in figuring that out in any way that they deem appropriate. We do not have a time constraint where it's like, oh, it's only 30 days or it's only 1 or 2 follow-ups. That individual determines how we engage with them. So if it's a more complex case and we have a lot of calls for service and there may be a high utilizer, then we're going to be following up with them a lot more. But if it's maybe an individual that has the services they need, but they just are having a hard time, okay, let's make sure you have what you need, and then we'll go ahead and step out when you're ready to do, or ready for us to do so. And so that's kind of what the program in a very big overview looks like today. I hope that answers some questions y'all have, but I at least wanted to, that's the big picture.
I want to thank you for coming in, because this is the program that I've championed from the beginning to bring it to Orange, and I really do think that our residents as well as our employees can benefit from having mental health professionals readily available to all of us when needed and at no cost to the residents. So thank you.
I have a couple questions. Are you involved, or do you guys engage at all with the schools? Yeah.
So the school systems have their own kind of internal unit, but there are times when they call for a kiddo that's maybe experiencing something. We're going to go in and maybe, I don't want to say ask different questions, but have a little bit of a different avenue of not only taking the kiddo, but the parents in the family unit, because in the school they're very limited. And so we can kind of engage outside of that school, which can be very helpful.
Ever engage in such a way where the school guidance counselors or something, they give your information or a calling number out to students or make it available to students as a resource, like independently? Yeah.
In the summertime, they'll give once they get consent from the family, they'll actually give us information for that family. Maybe they're tracking that kiddo for over the summer. We've had that happen, I guess, for 2 years now. Yep.
mentioned on the follow-up, it could be one time you follow up, it could be 30 times. Is there a cost at a certain point that goes back to that person, or it always is covered no matter how long you make the decision with them as far as how long that continues?
Yeah, so there's no cost to any of the neighbors that we serve. It's because it's all grant funded and then funded by the cities themselves. And so it all kind of comes through that service, because billing is really difficult, and we all know that, and it can be time limited. And so we've been very fortunate not have to go down that route.
That's awesome.
How many people work for your group?
So right now I'm at 8. And then when we add 2 more, which will be the next cities, which will include Orange, we'll be up to 10.
Full-time? They're all full-time?
Yep, all full time.
Thank you for coming in, Annette. We really appreciate it. We're all going to be here so that we'll need to have in order to move the project forward in the next coming weeks. So I look forward to having our Orange Village being a member of the First Calls group.
Thank you.
Can I ask just a real brief? So, first of all, thank you for the program and the work that you do. I had a nice conversation with the police chief about it, and the recognition that there is a large intersection between the criminal, the work that our police officers do and the mental health components to it, I think is a real huge piece to it. The issue that I think we have to is the funding. And obviously, I know through a lot of the aspects through the county system and the crisis center and the Adams Board and the centers and the myriad of entities that are now kind of trying to cobble together enough funding to make sure that this goes on. And I know the mayor is going to obviously bring forward legislation, and we're optimistic about it. I'm just optimistic and hopeful that as this moves forward, the funding streams that, grants are great, but if they die, then the program does. And so the issue that we have to figure out is where the sustainable money is to make sure that this program continues. And I know with all of the partners we have in the community, you and your team will touch base with all of them, but it is absolutely essential that this continue. So thank you.
Into it, especially for the funding part of it, is very helpful to us and all of the other municipalities that are partaking, so.
All right, thank you, Annette.
Thank
Introduce the public hearings now. The first one is for 3940 Beachmont Trail. And this public hearing is now open. Does anybody have any comments regarding Beachmont? Okay, I'm going to close that public hearing and move on to the next one. It's 4545 Brainerd Road. This is now open, and I wonder if anybody has any comments to bring forth for this public hearing. Okay, there's none there either, so I'll close that public hearing. Now the next one is for 4799 Lander Road. This is adjacent to my property, so I am only facilitating the public hearing. I am not participating in any way. I don't want to be construed as my participating in any way just because I'm facilitating. So, this is open, and are there any comments to the New Song Church property? Okay, I'm going to close that public hearing too, and there were no comments, so we're going to move on to our special meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right, Anna, will you call the roll, please?
Foster. Vincent.
Here.
Kurland.
Here.
Boyle.
Here.
Bilski.
Here.
Perry.
Here. Can I have a motion to excuse Jeff Foster from the meeting? He had to leave.
We don't need that for.
We don't need it for a special meeting.
Yeah.
We've been traditionally doing it.
No, we hadn't. The first time was when you did it for Vincent.
Matter. Move on to a motion to adopt the final order and conclusions of fact for the variance request for Scott and Rochelle M. Lewis to permit an addition to the residence at 3940 Beachmont Trail.
A motion.
Motion, how would you like to second it, Amanda? Thank you. So we had no comments. Does anybody,
I can speak to this one. Planning and zoning met, we endorsed this and came to the conclusions that we should, council should give this variance. It's for a small amount of property. It's through no fault of the owners that they have to have it, and it's architecturally really the only way that this addition can be built to meet the needs of the homeowners.
I would like to just add that I want to be completely transparent that we're talking about a 1-foot variance, but at the residents of Beachmont Trail, one of them served as my campaign treasurer for both of my campaigns. So just to be perfectly transparent, I'm going to abstain in this because of my connection with the homeowner.
Okay.
any other comments?
Well, I'm just going to say that the fact that all of the neighbors don't have a problem with it and the HOA approved it means it's no reason not to approve it.
Great. Then, Anna, will you call the roll, please?
Abstain.
Kurland? Yes. Allner?
Yes.
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 Perry?
Yes. Thank you. Next, I need a motion to adopt the final order and decision and okay, I'm going to start over. A motion to adopt the final order and decision of council and the conclusions of fact for the variance request for Temple Emmanuel to permit the split of the northern portion of the property with the frontage on Brainerd Road.
I'm going to abstain from any discussion of this one or voting on it to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. I used to be a member of Temple Emmanuel, and although I do feel that I could impartially participate, I think it's in the best interest to not participate in this one.
Thank you. Any other
I'm going
comments?
to ask that actually either the mayor or the law director then explain it, so I will not, since I'm on planning and zoning and would have.
When the Temple Emmanuel property was developed, there was a, if you will, section of the property that extended out to Brainerd Road for future parking and future access. The congregation has come to the conclusion that they no longer need that access way. The property itself is 1.27 acres, where the properties in the U1 district need to be 1.5 acres, so it's 0.23 acres short of that. There is the ability to potentially extend if you will, a panhandle onto the adjacent property, but it would compromise the parking of Temple Emmanuel. It is pretty obvious that the site can be developed fully as it's intended and will look very much the same as all the other properties on Brainerd Road at that location. Furthermore, there's a slight less than the 150 frontage that this parcel has. I think it's like less, it's about a foot, 120, supposed to be 150, and I think it's 149 or something like that. All of the properties along Brainerd Road in that location are of different frontages. There are no two that have the same dimension, and many of them don't have the 150 frontage. So it was recommended that rather than make this a more complicated site to work with, where it can be built appropriately and provide all of the necessary amenities that are needed for the house, that a variance was appropriate to allow this to go forward, and that's the reason for this request, and that the conclusions on the property.
Any other comments? Okay, great. Anna, will you call the roll, please?
Vincent,
Yes.
Kurland, Allner,
Abstain.
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next, I'm only facilitating, so I need a motion to adopt the final order and decision of council and the conclusions of fact for the variance request for Otero Signature Homes to construct 6 lots on the property. 2 lots require a setback of 50 feet.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
I have a question before we vote on it, and that's that because this is a work session, and I know we have been voting on things, but I think this is something that's come up very recently, and people, including myself, were not aware. I don't know that the setback is a huge deal, but just I would like to have just a little more time to just explore it and talk to some people around the area and hear more, and especially since we didn't have an opportunity to hear from anybody during the public hearing. And I'm just wondering if we can table this 1 week to our actual work meeting next week. Not a work meeting, to our actual session next week.
Actually, I'm going to oppose that, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, this is not just the public hearing tonight that was available. There was a public hearing also before Planning and Zoning. Again, no one showed up. Planning and Zoning gave notice to every neighbor who was impacted, and please? Twice, yes. So people are very much, who are impacted are very much aware. This is not this is not a variance with respect to, I think in the past, what we've been talking about, and I'm going to ask the law director to correct me if I misspeak about anything. Okay. In the past with this property, we were talking about having lots that were less than the 1.5 acre, which is zoned for in that area, okay? Here, all of the lots will be 1.5 or more acres. This is simply a request for setback for 2 of the lots of the 6 that would be created on the property. They're essentially creating a cul-de-sac, which is a very good way to use the space to stay within the current zoning. Every neighbor was notified twice. They were allowed to come to Planning and Zoning. They were allowed to come here. I think that the builder, and I think everybody knows I was vehemently against the last one. So the builder has put a lot of effort and time, and I don't think it's fair to make them wait an extra week. I think it's appropriate. It's on the schedule for tonight, and I think that given the number of people and the votes that are needed, that tonight is the night to have it heard.
I'll just clarify that the notice that's sent out prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission is mailed to the neighbors. So there's actual notice to the neighbors. I think it's within 500 feet. I'd have to double check that, but it's anybody in proximity to the property that is requesting the variance. The second notice of this hearing is put on the website and posted to Village Hall bulletin board.
If I can add to that, my recollection is that the planning and zoning meeting was continued at one point as well, because notices went out on both days, because I had spoken to some of my neighbors as well when the first hearing date came over, and I actually went by accident to the date when it had been continued on that date. And even on the floor of council, I had mentioned that the dates were coming.
There were 2 actual notices to the
Yeah, so there were. So I understand Ms. Vincent's comments, and I certainly understand what your comments are as well. Quite frankly, I'm ambivalent. I don't know that the decision would be any different, but I'm certainly prepared to vote on it today.
Sure that the decision would be different anyway. Like I said,
I know, that's fair.
setbacks, and forgive me, I have, as many of you know, I've been ill for the last couple of weeks, but I feel like this was new information. I don't abut it. I don't live there. I get the notice about this coming up. And I'm sorry to hear about the church not being successful. I was so hopeful it was. But after all that went through the first, and I know it's a different case, and I know we're talking about density versus this is not a density issue at all. And I'm not saying I wouldn't support it. Like I said, the variance to me seems very reasonable. I just would like to have a little time, just a pad of time, especially because this is supposed to be something that we don't vote during work sessions. we're supposed to vote during council meetings. And that's come up during some discussions with the bylaws and other situations. So that's just where I am. I'm not against it.
Instances for 2 other properties without you raising the issue, and I think that it's frankly
Okay.
inappropriate at this point to raise it now.
All right, as a point of order, I would like to say to Stacy, if you feel strongly about this after the discussion, you can make a motion to table this to next month, and you would need somebody to
Next month, I would do next week.
next week, sorry. And you would need somebody on this council to second it. So would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Are there any other comments?
Yeah, if I may. Obviously, I had a role and an interest in the rezoning, and your comments are, of course, correct. The issue that's before us now is much different than what we were dealing with the previous matter. And the rezoning was, in my estimation, and I think in a lot of my neighbors and friends, was a much drastic and much different matter than what's in front of us here today. The comments that I had, and I don't want to speak for any of my friends that when we worked on the issue, but the comments that at least I proposed were, I wasn't objecting to 6 houses being on the property, but rather that a building, that the housing that was being proposed was not consistent with the character of the neighborhood. And I do think that what is in front of us is in the same character of the neighborhood. The variances themselves are not what I would label as anything, they're not as minor as Mr. Lewis's 1 foot, but they are not what I would label as things that would be out of the norm to be an expectation that this body would consider. I do have a couple comments that I would like to at least put into the record. As I've mentioned on this floor before, I had filed for regarding the tax exempt status of the properties involved here. And I know that, I believe that there's $80,000 in back taxes currently held on the 3 parcels that I assume and would be addressed and paid in full prior to moving forward with it. And there is pending, I think, at least on one of the parcels with the state tax board. They have not resolved the issue relative to the final determination of the taxes on that. The other aspects that I think hopefully will be addressed is the buffer between the current homes and the homes that are, if this goes forward, that will be, that there will be a buffer of some sort to allow some level of privacy between them, and I'm cautiously optimistic that will take place. There's also wetlands, I think we know, on the property, and those will have to be addressed in whatever goes in there. The last thing, and I would turn to the law director on paragraph 14 of the conclusions of fact. That itself, the contents there are not enough for me not to vote for it, but I don't like the fact that there is what I would label as an undecided pending hanging piece of information in 14, where it has regarding the sewer and septic issue, that kind of an if-come situation of whether or not the septics will be approved by the Department of Health. I don't know whether they're going to do it. I do know that the County Department of Health is fairly stringent in terms of mandating that sewers be placed in, but I know that we've had discussions about that. I recognize the need for it because it hasn't been finalized. But nonetheless, I was cautiously optimistic that what would be in front of us would be a little more final on that issue. But nonetheless, I'm sure that as that moves forward, they will address that in a manner that will be acceptable to the new residents that will be there if this goes forward, as well as with the requisite entities that deal with the septics and the sewers, the health department and the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, if they go there, or whether or not they're injection sewers. But just some things that I wanted to make sure that I put on the record.
Point, do you have a comment?
I believe that the proposal for the entire development will include that, and that would be a forthcoming step.
That's my understanding.
At this point, the plan that has been put forward doesn't address any of the details that would be related to the actual design and construction of the development, as it will have to go through that whole process through both a preliminary development plan and final development plan for those properties.
It would all come through us and planning and zoning before anything.
No, planning and zoning.
This is the only action council will take. I put 14 in there in case somebody's going to come in and say, we need more, we need something different. We're approving this plan as designed. If they can't get septic approved, which is what they're basing this on, this is going to go away because the plan's not.
No, and I recognize that, Steve, and I don't have any objection to it. It had the either or type of thing, and I was hopeful that it had been resolved by now, and I recognize that may not happen.
Great, thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Questions?
I'm confused. I'm not, I'm torn because I don't not support this project from what I've seen. Like I said, the variances are very acceptable, but at the same time, I just wish I and others who may not have been aware had a little more time on it. So I'm torn.
As a point of order, I want to remind council members that when you get your packet and the conclusions of fact, that it is an opportunity to reach out to council, to the administration, to council, meaning our legal counsel, to ask questions. Okay, good.
I want you to know I did.
And I think you also, do you not still get all of the the agendas and paperwork for the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings?
Do, but not all of my neighbors do, and I have been sick for the last few weeks, and it's just not something that I saw coming up. I'm readily saying I just wanted another week to be able to. I'm sure Ed will cover the story. I am sure it will be put out there, and I just want to make sure people have the opportunity. Who, one thing we deal with in communications is, you have obviously. People will always say, I didn't know about it, and I don't want to use that as an excuse. Again, I'm not against the variance. I'm not in this case. So I don't want to not support that, but I just would like information to be more readily available for people that might not have gotten specific letters or specific calls because they don't live in the immediate vicinity.
This is simply one variance each for 2 of the lots. 4 of the lots do not need variances. And again, correct me if I misspeak of anything, okay?
You're correct.
2 of the lots need a variance, very similar to the variance that Mr. Lewis needed. Slightly larger, but very similar issue. It has nothing to do with the layout of the street or anything else. None of that is before council, nor can it be before council. None of that. We are only looking at, and the only issues before us are, can 2 lots out of 6, and you could forget that there's 6, just 2 particular lots that will be built on, can they each have a variance of 50, I think it's 50 feet each, correct? Yeah, that's it. It's a very simple issue. And I don't want to confuse it, because it's not a confusing issue. It's very simple. There are 2 lots that need a variance of 50 feet each. When the other lots around them are built, they will clearly be well aware of variances and the way that the homes are all being built. So none of the particular neighbors on that street will be affected because they will know in advance of purchasing those lots. So there is no harm to any of those neighbors. With respect to the neighbors in the neighboring properties further out, they've all been notified twice. They've all noted that this was noticed as well.
Same procedures that we follow for anywhere else in the village.
Everywhere else. In fact, they got 2 notices. They got double the amount.
Right,
Yeah.
and Kim, this, if I understand correctly, this variance does not affect the other properties at all. It's
No,
only
yeah.
that development, which no one
And in the time I had, that's why I've contacted those people around there and talked to them to the best of my ability. I just want to, I'd like people to know about this situation with the former New Song. I'd like people to know about this. It's our neighborhood. And I, as you know, I supported the last project. And so certainly when you're talking about 16 versus 6, I mean, it's not even an issue in my mind. I just would like people to know what's going on. I'd like people to be aware of it, so that's.
I think we're ready for the call.
Yeah.
Anna, will you call the roll?
Vincent. Kurland. Allner.
Yes.
Yes.
Bilski. Perry.
Abstain. Next on the agenda, I need a motion to award a bid for the asphalt repair program for 2026 to Roniak Paving for the base bid and alternate in the amount not to exceed $692,118.35. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion. What? Thank you. Right.
Brian?
Would you like to speak on it?
Can
Brian,
speak to this.
and thank you. Come on up and use the microphone,
Or you can use that one.
or that one.
Hopefully, everybody's got in front of them the bid tabulation. You know, this is basically our asphalt work for the year, which will be overlaying a portion of Orangewood, along with Hemlock Circle and Laurel Circle. Again, Roniak Paving being the low bidder. We're very familiar with them. They've been our asphalt pavers for the last 2 years. Considerably underneath the engineer's estimate. And does anybody have any questions?
The estimate that they gave was significantly lower than the estimate that you guys came up with.
Correct.
We think
Basically,
they could do it for that.
Roniak Paving has their own asphalt plant. If you notice, everybody else is really close to the estimate.
Right.
Sometimes they have a considerable advantage.
They've done a lot of work for us in the past.
Our last 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Will you call the roll?
Vincent. Kurland.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Boyle. Yes. Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Thank you all. Next, a motion to approve a purchase of a 2026 Dodge 3,500 Tradesman Reg Cab 4x4 by Montrose Ford at a cost not to exceed $55,122. That was a bid under the State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program. Note the uplifting of the upfitting of the 2026 Dodge 3,500 Tradesman will include several vendors with a total cost not to exceed $16,574. I'll make the motion. Thank you, Kim. Questions, comments? Who'd like to?
This vehicle is for the fire department. It's replacing our pickup truck, which will be 15 years old at the end of the year. It's got 85,000 miles on it. It's starting to show its age, some mechanical issues, and some cosmetic, some rust. It's starting to, just do what pickup trucks do. We got good 15 years out of it. The truck will be surplused and sold once the new one is in service to kind of help offset some of this cost. And I full well expect we'll get at least another 15 years out of the next vehicle we purchase.
Good. Questions? Okay, Anna?
Vincent.
Yes.
Kurland.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes, thanks. Next, I need a motion to authorize an agreement with Pavement Technology Incorporation for the rejuvenation of asphalt village streets at a price not to exceed $58,955.40. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kim. This is something we've done before. It's saved the life of our streets by some time. Brian, would you like to talk?
Yeah, this is a product that goes down on the asphalt roads usually 2 to 3 years after we complete them. Basically, adding, just what it says, rejuvenating the pavement. I believe we've already passed one for the Brainerd Road, that last month. This is for the residential streets that we did, Pike, Oxford Court, and White Drive.
A motion and a second. We've heard. Any questions? None. Anna, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Kurland. Allner.
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes, thank you. Next, I need a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of February 4th, 2026. Anybody see anything that needs adjusting?
I just want to say with explanation that while I was not in attendance at that meeting, I did watch the minutes, so I will vote on it.
You're welcome to. Regardless, yes. Thank you. Okay, Anna, will you call the roll?
Vincent. Kurland.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes, thanks. Next is a motion, I need a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of February 11th, 2026.
I'll make that motion.
Jim? Thank you, Jim. Okay, anybody notice anything needs changing there? Okay, Anna?
Vincent.
Yes.
Kurland. Allner.
Yes.
Boyle.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes. Thanks. Next, we have audience comments regarding agenda items. It could be anything on tonight's agenda. You know the drill. Sign in after you talk, please. Thank you.
Just one comment. We have an item 24. We're talking about clarifying the amendments on the zoning.
Use your mic a little bit better.
Hello?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
John Loftus, 4231 Lander Road. One issue, ordinance 2026-4. We're dealing with amending the zoning code, or the procedures for amending the zoning code. On the Charter Review Commission, this is probably, the zoning is going to be a big issue. And I would just ask that you table this and allow the Charter Review to do what it's supposed to do. And then, you can bring this back up depending upon the outcome of the results of the Charter Review Commission. Any questions?
Is this on the agenda for
Your agenda is ordinance 20.
for charter review?
We are going through, we are talking about amending the zoning provisions, and zoning is a big part of the charter.
Yeah, but, well, we normally address things later, but this
My
is,
recommendation, my legal recommendation would be to put this in place so you have a procedure in place, assuming that you make changes and the voters vote for the change, council puts it on as you propose and the voters vote on it, it would be enacted effective January of 2027. We certainly can, between November and January, change the code to reflect whatever change in charter there is.
Will the world come to an end if you hold this for, we're going to be done by, I think the first week in May.
with all due respect, correct me, I misspeak. What the Charter Review Commission does is you guys come up with a recommendation for the charter. It then comes to council and then goes to the voters. Again, correct me if I misspeak. Okay. Voters vote. If it's approved, which hopefully it would be, it's in effect on January 1. To be really appropriate is not the best word, but to be doing things the way we should legally be doing things, we should, in my opinion, pass this tonight. We need to be doing things the right way. And then, of course, if the charter is changed, then what we will do is come back and we will change this. We will delete that. We'll replace this with a new ordinance that would be consistent with the new charter starting on January 1, 2027. But until then, legally, we really should, to have things clean, we really should be
And to be clear,
the current charter,
this-
which we're not right now.
Well, what we do is we follow what the charter requires us to do. So this is just clarifying, it's moving into the codified ordinances, a process that already exists. And if there's a proposed change that goes on the ballot, the council will have put that on the ballot in July. And starting the process to sync up, if there's a proposed change, the ordinance with what the charter provides. I do recommend that we have this provision in place between now and next January, and if we need to change it, we'll change it.
Yeah, this just mirrors what's already in the charter, and so if the charter is ultimately changed, we'll come back and change the code. The rationale, Steve, at the outset was to make sure that people that were looking from the outside, who were looking at well, what do I have to do to build something in the city, they don't have to look at the charter. They have to look, most people are gonna look at the code. And so what has to be in the code has to mirror, be consistent with what's in the charter. And this is just cleaning up the language to make sure that what's in our codified ordinances is parroting what's in the charter. If we ultimately do change the charter, yeah, then we're gonna have to come back and change this, just like a lot of other aspects.
Your codified ordinances refer back to the charter, which now you're just saying,
They do, yes. I mean, I don't want to speak for the law director, but yes, the language in here is to make sure that the language that's in the codified ordinances is consistent with the language in the charter. It's not identical, but it's pretty close as is in currently, I think, Steve, would be, but this makes it essentially identical.
And it documents what council has been doing since they took out there used to be Board of Zoning Appeals. The process that we follow has been in effect since that happened.
The goal is to make our ordinances as transparent and easy for residents who want to, change something or challenge something, to know, okay, what are the steps that I need to take? And most people and their attorneys would go to the ordinances to check. So it's really just, and this is not inconsistent with what we've been doing in other areas. We've been trying to sort of clean up our ordinances over the last several months. And, this is consistent with that. It doesn't in any way prevent the Charter Review Commission from making any recommendations or changes that you guys see fit. And we definitely appreciate the work that you all are putting in. But whatever you do can't be effective until the earliest of January 1, 2027 anyway. There's no way to change the charter prior to that.
fine.
Any other comments? Thank you, John. Okay, I'm going to move on to old business, ordinance 2026-3, an ordinance approving the map of survey consolidation, vacation, and dedication for a portion of Orange Place and Parcel D and blocks of A, B, and C. This is on for third reading. Planning and Zoning has recommended for us to pass this. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
I'll make the motion.
Kim? Second? Thank you, Amanda. All right. Anybody want to speak to this? Kim?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So essentially, this is over near Pinecrest, where the water feature is, and it's making the lines on the survey consistent with what's actually existing in real life. I mean, just that's what.
Put it. Anna, will you call the roll?
Vincent,
Yes.
Kurland,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes. All right, next is ordinance 2026-4 is amended, an ordinance amending section 1144.04 of chapter 1144. Amendments and exceptions to clarify the procedures for proposed amendments to the zoning code of Orange Village. This also is on for third reading. It has been recommended by Planning and Zoning. Do I have a motion to open this?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It was Jim.
Sorry. Okay, great. Now, Mr. Loftus has asked us to table it. As a point of order, I'll see if anybody has any interest in tabling it. I think we heard comments too about why we can move forward. And, let's hear your comments and questions. Do we have a motion to adopt?
We do, in a second.
If there's any questions.
Comments?
We just discussed it, so.
At some point, I mean, just because I know it is being discussed in the charter review, and at some point, I do want to be able to delineate our work sessions versus I know we've been doing this for years. I've been on council for enough years that I've seen this happen. But if we're going to have two meetings,
I totally agree. I was going to bring it up, but I hear Charter Review Commission is currently speaking about this.
Yeah.
So I think that they can do a lot of the legwork for figuring out if we're going to, how we're going to proceed. So.
One of the things that I can do, back in 2008, there was a set of rules that was adopted that did delineate different procedures for work sessions than council meetings. The ideas of the council meetings were that's where you're going to have votes of council. At the work session, there was a different method for public comment, where you rather now theoretically, and you don't have a rule on it, a currently adopted rule. Now you just have public comments, and you could say 3 minutes and that's it. In the work session rule, they had dialogue so that you could ask questions of the council and the administration. It's an option, and that would delineate something different about the work session / special meeting from the regular meeting, just in terms of the way you interact with the public. Not mandatory. I mean, it's just, I throw it out there because that was one thing that used to be different between the two sessions. And frankly, there's never been a lot of, because there aren't a lot of people here, there's never been a lot of formality to the public portion.
Steve, is there a need to have two different kinds of meetings, like a special versus?
Historically.
The difference between a special meeting and a regular meeting is a special meeting, you can only vote on things that are on the agenda. Whereas a regular meeting, you could have people bringing forward motions that are not on the agenda. You still have to distribute, under the charter, you still have to distribute legislation ahead of time, but you could make a motion to do something, to authorize the clerk to do something or what have you.
More to do.
That can come up at a regular meeting. Special meetings, you're stuck with what's on the agenda.
Then I guess suspending the rules, because we've done that.
Just for,
That's waived, yeah.
If an ordinance is on for consideration, you can suspend the rules at a special meeting if it's on the agenda. You can take any action with respect.
so
it reflects back to, that we excuse a council person for the business meeting, but not, for the regular meeting, but not so it gets a little just foggy, a little fuzzy in there. If we're going to run two regular meetings, then we probably should excuse council people. And it also is going to go back to when they consider like how many you can miss in a row. So there are just a lot of issues that are associated with it. I don't mean it to bog down this particular, ordinance, but just something we need to keep.
I just want to suggest that if we're going to address that and make any changes, I would suggest that we figure out what we're going to do and then make it effective starting with a certain month, but not in the middle of any meeting, whether it's special or regular. That's, whatever is going to happen is, I'm fine. But then you say, okay, starting in April, this is the way it's going to be, or whatever.
Okay, so
Lisa's point about the charter review.
yeah, let me just give you a tiny bit of history too, because I think it's pertinent to this. When I started on council, work sessions were never special meetings. They were frowned upon to be special meetings because at that time, communications were very different than they are today. We didn't have the internet the way we do, and information wasn't able to get out to residents in a timely manner. And Steve has taught me that this really dates back to horse and pony days when people came to town only once a month or once every 3 months to hear what's going on. So it gave laws an opportunity to be heard and passed out to people when there weren't the types of communication that we have today. we've evolved over the last 28 years, and that's all I can speak to, of different council presidents using both meetings to progress legislation forward. 90% of our legislation is kind of housekeeping type of things that don't need 3 months of study or 3 months for the public to kind of rest on something or longer, like big topic things. I think that my personal feelings don't matter because I'm one person. But if we are always making a special meeting, my personal feeling is, why not call a horse, make it a regular council meeting? But it causes a problem, because I do feel when we have large variances and things that, a few things that do require more time and thought, that I would like the 3 months to hear a topic. So I posed that to Mr. Lewis, who's chairing the charter review. I told him my opinion. He's taking it back to committee. More to come. All right, so any other questions? Then Anna, will you call the roll?
Did I already?
We've got a motion.
Vincent,
Yes.
Ferland, Allner,
Yes.
Boyle, Bilski,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next is ordinance, new business, ordinance 2026-7, an ordinance amending a portion of section 1174.04 of the codified ordinances to amend the definition of senior single living detached/attached dwellings. This is on for first reading. I believe we should send that to planning and zoning. Yes. Okay. And
Just a background, this is to make our ordinance consistent with federal law. So this is related to
The senior citizens district, there are different definitions of senior housing. The congregate independent living facility that was going to be Omni is defined to match up with the HUD standard for senior housing. But for whatever reason, that when Omni was presenting that as their proposed language for the ordinance, they did not consider the attached single-family dwelling portion of it. And so the definitions are not the same. This would make the definitions not only the same with the federal standard, but the same within the district, so that 55 and older housing is the same both for the congregate living and for the attached single-family residential.
for the attached,
That's what this does. This ordinance would match up the single-family attached with the congregate independent living facility.
right, any other questions? All right, so that's first reading. We'll move on to audience comments, which advance the good of Orange Village. Comments tonight? All right, being none, comments by the mayor, please.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Able to walk around a little bit. Thank everybody for their patience with me as I recover from this knee surgery. A number of announcements and some other things to talk about. To begin with, you can begin to place your orders for leaf humus by visiting our website at orangevillage.com or call 440-498-4400. Computers, flags, and household hazardous waste collection will be Friday, March 6th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Service Department, 4680 Lander Road. Orange Village Service Department has opened up the container drop-off program for the season. Visit the website for more information. Everyone remember, this weekend is daylight savings time. It begins on Sunday. Please remember to turn your clocks forward 1 hour. This is also a good time to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. Take advantage of that mnemonic device to remind yourself to do so. I want to talk for a minute on new fire station and Village Hall renovation project, which is moving forward through our design team, will be presented next Thursday, March 12th at 7 p.m. at Village Hall. We're looking for input from the community as an opportunity to engage the design team and consider ideas that they may or may not have considered in the process and address the design that they are currently working on. As you know, this project will require a bond issue to move forward. It's essential that we complete the design and the budgeting for the project so that we can come to council and look to create the millage that would be necessary for a bond issue that would be placed on the ballot in November. So there'll be a number of further discussions about this going forward. And the budget in place, will be able to better understand and recognize what the actual cost is to the village and how we will then have to pay for it. And this meeting next Thursday will give the residents an opportunity to see what the project is about, hear why we're moving forward this way, why it's important that we take up this project and move it forward at this time. There also will be an ordinance next week concerning a usage fee for the pavilions and Waddell Room, as well as the current deposit. We have a great deal of demand for our facilities. The community very much is clamoring to use the Mulcahy Pavilion and Waddell Room for private events, and we want to be able to deliver that in a way that is fair and reasonable. They've become very popular, and the fee will support the administrative expenses required for booking, payment, and oversight of the area, as well as the additional cleaning of facilities by the service department following events. We would like to then suspend the rules for this ordinance because we currently have a number of people that would like to reserve these facilities for the year, and therefore we would like to get the costs on the books so people know what it is that we're charging for the use of those facilities. The Cuyahoga County Soil and Water Conservation District will host a tree care workshop on Sunday, March 15th, beginning at 10 a.m. at Pepper Pike. Visit our website for more information and to register. I want to thank everybody in the community for their well wishes and cards as I recover from this surgery. A couple other things I want to make note of. I've made an application to the state biannual budget for funding to enable the village to restore, expand, and redevelop the amphitheater facility. The capital budget funds brick and mortar projects for local communities, and we have an opportunity to be included in that budget, and I've prepared an application that has gone to our state rep and will go to others for their endorsement and consideration in the state biennial budget. I have also requested that our Veterans Committee consider an event or program in honoring Orange Village veterans on the 250th celebration of the United States. We will get back to residents when we hear from them as to what they think we should be considering. To your point on the zoning code, John, and to others, I, some weeks ago, asked our village planner and our law director to look at our zoning code, to look at areas of the code that are redundant or inappropriate or out of date or should be changed. They were going to begin to go through this process in a very detailed way and look at what we might do and then come back to council for adoption of those ordinances as the process goes forward. In the meantime, however, I was at a county mayors and managers meeting last Thursday, at which time the county planning commission had introduced a process that they are beginning to create a unified zoning code for the region. And with that, they're looking to work with a number of different communities and looking at their various codes to see how they might integrate with this unified code that they're looking to produce. I've asked the county if they would consider including Orange Village as one of those community teams to be a part of that review. And we'll have further discussion on when and where that will happen. And finally, with the County Planning Commission. Some months ago, a year ago, we engaged with the county to create a wayfinding signage program as it related to our community parks and getting people through our community and around our community to the parks. They have been working very diligently on this, and they're going to present to Orange, the Orange team, what they have produced at this point, and to begin to move forward with design of potential signage that could be part of this process. Their findings will be presented at a meeting on March 11th here at Village Hall, and the members of the Design Review Committee that have been working with the county on this will have more to say about that at the meetings when we have more information on what they're doing. That's all I have.
Well, thank you.
Spring.
We're glad to have you back, Mayor.
Are you suggesting that our zoning will have to be part of this county thing?
They've offered an opportunity that I would like to take advantage of because it could involve a great deal of time and money for our individual planner and our law director to go through this whole thing when the county is going to be doing it for multiple communities. They're taking they're taking all of these different zoning codes and they're overlaying them on each other and looking to see if they can develop what would be called a regional unified code that every community would be able to use with a set of clear and consistent definitions, set of clear and consistent uses and applications of the code. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to take advantage of something that they're already underway with.
You would not, I mean, they do not have the authority to take away your authority. Anything, if you choose to become part of this regional plan or what have you, you would have to enact legislation to cause that to occur.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And you're finished with your report, and it leads straight into mine. So, Parks and Recreation has a representative who is attending those meetings on wayfinding and bringing information back to the committee, and when the committee has recommendations, he's taking it back to that more county-wide committee. So we will be seeing something eventually. I have no idea when, though. The other thing I wanted to talk about is you all received information that Anna compiled, thank you, Anna, from other communities about wind regulation, I don't know, what do you call it?
Wind energy.
Wind energy regulations or what's required in different communities. So if we digest that this week, maybe we can talk about it next week. And then finally, I received some more feedback about some problems with dogs off leash still in our park paths behind Village Hall here. In specific, this one was an autistic child is constantly feeling harassed by dogs that are consistently off leash. I would like Chief Roberts to comment on this.
Last year, my first full year as chief, we made a pretty good effort to warn everyone this is where we were headed. And this year we are prepared, and I've already directed the officers. A citation for this is what's expected now when they're met with it. I don't say zero tolerance because there's always room for some explanation, but we're close. I agree that there's a law for a reason and it needs to be followed.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, Lisa, is the new dog park space, I don't know when that's going to be available, so that there is a place that the dogs can run off leash?
Bob Zugan would have a better date, but we are hoping, weather permitting, to have that open in the spring sometime. So they have a little bit of work to do on that. Mayor, do you have better information than that?
I gave you a little bit of, because I talked to Bob about it about a week ago. The biggest piece of the work that has to get done in order to make the dog park operational is getting the fence installation done. and they're currently working with the fence contractor to set up a schedule. Winter has been kind of crazy. Hope that we got to the end of that, and they're looking to schedule the fence installation. And there's 3 components of that. That will be part of it. We're also looking to work, interestingly enough, we have been meeting with the folks at Tri-Seas Landscaping Program, and they're going to be putting in some pavers in there with a dog bone in the middle of it to mark the entrance to the dog park.
That's,
And they're going to design that, and they'll install.
Did our pavers out here?
Yeah, the same group, the same group that did the pavers around the flagpole and did the pavers at the Singer Pavilion last summer is going to do this work. And so I expect that we'll probably see the dog park operational in late spring.
and can you send me that information from Tri-C? Because I'll take that to our Parks and Rec committee, who is also working at trying to find artists who would be able to contribute to our dog park too. But hopefully, back to Amanda's comments, this would help eliminate some of the walking off leash, but I'm afraid that unfortunately tickets might need to be ensued, and thank you for pursuing that.
The charge. What does it cost?
It's the leash law. I don't have it right in front of me. I don't know if we can look it up, but it's the leash law violation.
175 or 200 off the top of my head, but Steve is going to look. It's become a real nuisance. I have heard more complaints about that than I probably have ever received about any topic.
I remember campaigning, actually a couple people giving me an earful about how they thought it was unfair that they had to have a leash on their dog.
I know.
When we have the larger dog park, that they'll be able to, the dog to stretch their legs.
And that's what we were going to try to market it, is if you want your dog off leash, go back in here.
Dogs at large is a misdemeanor of the 4th degree for the first offense, and a misdemeanor of the 3rd degree for a second offense. A 4th degree misdemeanor is punishable by a fine of up to $250 and up to 30 days in jail. First offense, they're not going to give jail time, but that's the level of severity. And then 3rd degree is up to $500 fine and up to 60 days in jail. If there's an attack, then it rises to a 1st degree misdemeanor, which is up to 6 months in jail and up to a $1,000 fine.
So is menacing in there? So a dog got into a baby carriage at one point and was growling
What?
at a child. Yeah, that was a complaint.
Yeah, that.
Is that menacing? I'm just kind of trying to play police officer here.
You're menacing to me.
I mean,
It's more threat.
I don't know that we have dog menacing.
Okay.
So I would just suggest that,
First-degree misdemeanor if anybody's injured.
I would just suggest that I think most dog owners have experienced at least once when their dog got out, and ran away, and they're running around the neighborhood trying to get their dog back. And to the extent that, no one's harmed and that happens, and the owner is trying to get them back, that we would not ticket somebody in that kind of a situation, because they weren't purposely letting them out without a leash. I just want to,
None of the incidents I have heard about have anything to do with that kind
Yeah,
of
I understand that. I'm just suggesting, though, that,
they believe that they should be allowed to walk off leash
And I-
because their
and I-
dog is great.
no, and I get that, and everybody thinks that their dogs are great, and I think mine's great too, but he has, on occasion, when he was younger, escaped, and we were running around the neighborhood chasing him, trying to get him back. So it does happen. So I just hope that we will consider that and not ticket people when they're, trying to get their dogs under control.
Okay, thank you. I am going to move on to committee reports. Let's start with you, Mrs. Vincent.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back, Mayor. Hope my voice holds up for this. Once again, it was a privilege to sit on the Charter Review meeting last Monday, we could go Monday. A great deal of time goes into every line and discussion, and I just want to thank Scott and Rivka and the commission once again for the work you're doing. It's really interesting, fascinating. I know we'll hear about it eventually, but if you have a chance to go to one of the meetings, it'd be well worth the time. The group meets again on March 9th, and then on March 30th, usually it's the 2nd and 4th, but because of the spring break, it's going to be on the 30th instead, so if anyone wants to attend. Our Arts and Culture Committee met last night and planned out a rough schedule for the year ahead. Our market dates are finalized for the second Saturday of each month between June and October, with the exception of we will be on September 5th due to the Jewish holiday on the 12th. There will also be 2 pop-up markets on the Orange Schools campus, first on May 2nd and then the holiday market on December 5th. We're once again inviting each of the 7 committees to take their 7 dates. So if everybody wants to take one to host, it doesn't have to be you, it could be one of your committee members. It's a great way to get your information out to the general public. We have really nice turnouts at these. Provide information, sit for a couple hours, and then enjoy the market yourself. Please let me know which day you would like, first come, first serve, and you could do as much with it or as little with it as you want, but it'd be nice to get each committee there. We're in the process of setting up our amphitheater concert series. We've decided on 3 again this year. We're anticipating 1 concert in June reflective of the Juneteenth celebrations. We're working with the band right now. Price break, but they need a sound system, so this might play into, if we get that grant, that would be awesome, because we don't have a sound system of our own, but we're working through that. We're also going to have one in July, likely focusing on the orange going red, white, and blue in honor of the semi-quincentennial. And hopefully we can work with the Veterans Committee on that one as well. Maybe more of a patriotic or a military band or something like that performing. And then in August, we're hoping to get right back again. Great turnout last year, wonderful band. And we're working with them right now on dates that they're available. It looks like the June and July will probably be Thursday night events, and the replay will probably be a Friday or Saturday, subject to our services department and making sure their dates are okay. If anybody knows of any cover bands or entertainers that would fit the bill for any of these, we are trying to keep them somewhat thematic. Please let me know. We're very interested in getting, especially if they're local, but even if they're not, and working within our budget to bring them in. We hope to lock in a schedule at our meeting next month, which will be Tuesday, April 7th. That meeting will also be accessible via Zoom if anyone would like to join us but can't make it to Village Hall. Excuse me. We're also looking to reprise our Light Up Orange for the Holidays event. Hopefully we're going to do that a little bit earlier this year and hopefully with better weather, but you know, that's one thing you can't pay for. So stay tuned on that, and we'll get everybody involved again. I do want to remind everybody to sign up for and read your Orange Village e-newsletter. It is chock full of such important dates and information. I want to thank Anna for her work on putting that all together. So much of what the mayor said was in there. But if you don't have it yet, you're not signed up, please sign up for that. It's wonderful. I want to thank Bob Zugan for his help with the residents' question about gas bills and company selection and the mayor's involvement. Despite his surgery on that, I appreciate it. And I also got a very nice message from one of our residents who wanted to thank Chief Genova and his crew for their efficient and generous response to one of her neighbors on Lander Road recently. She wanted me to share how kind and responsive they were in a very difficult situation. And she said it was noted by everybody around just how gracious they were. So thank you to all of your staffs for all you guys do. That's all I have.
Thank you, Stacy. Amanda, would you like to go next?
The Sustainability and Resilience Committee meets on the second Tuesday of every month, so it'll be next week, the 10th, at 7 p.m. here at Village Hall in the Woodell Room. I really encourage everyone who's available to come to these meetings because they're really interesting. It's a very wide umbrella that we cover, from protecting natural resources to recycling to solar or wind energy and so many other things that are sort of in that vein, and they really tend to be very educational and but at least I think they're really interesting. So more people will come and attend. The mayor usually comes, and we have a pretty good discussion typically. So I encourage everyone to come. The other thing I wanted to say is that I think this First Call program is really a good idea. I think it's really exciting, and I'm really happy that Kim Olner presented it to the village.
Thank you.
All right. Kim, would you like to go next?
The Orange Cares meeting, the Orange Cares Committee meeting is Tuesday, March 10th at 7 p.m., and that's in this room at Village Hall. Not to conflict with yours. So unfortunately, those two committees always conflict that meeting times, but it is what it is. Kiwanis, the next meeting is March 18 at 7 p.m. at the Orange Senior Center. Great opportunity to get involved in our community. And thank you, Amanda. I'm super excited for the First Calls program. It's going to be a really great program for our residents and employees, and we will keep updating council and our residents as things develop with that. And I'm very appreciative that the county has found some money to help with that cost as well, which is a good benefit for us. And then the final thing is International Women's Day, March 8th, to celebrate all of the women of the world. We are, take a moment, men, and to celebrate your women, and women to celebrate ourselves. So, happy spring.
Every day in the Boyle House is Women's Day. On a much more serious note, there's an Orange family that is very close to the Boyle family, the Lurie's, that are having a very difficult health situation. And to those that are spiritual or anything, keep Steve Lurie in your thoughts and prayers. He is a true gentleman in all sense of the words, and it's been a very difficult time for Amy, his wife, and the two sons. So just positive thoughts for Steve.
Second that, and that's all I have for tonight.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I need a motion to executive session.
Make that motion.
The
Second.
Got to get the purposes out.
Really? Hold on, I put it all away.
Let's go.
George,
Yeah, I know who we need, but what's the purpose?
Dana.
be on the agenda.
Okay. For the purpose of prospective and pending litigation, the appointment, compensation, resignation of village employees. Do I have a motion, please?
Kim made the motion, I'll second.
I'll make a motion. How about a second over here?
Second.
Thank you, Stacy. And we'll adjourn in now, and I would like to include Dana, Chief Roberts, and of course everybody else.
I didn't know any.
She,
We should have a freshman who had one.
Brian Mater.
And Ryan Mater. Thank you.
Lisa, will there be business after?
Nope, there'll be no business after. Anna, can you call the roll?
Vincent,
Yes.
Kurland, Allner,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Thank you. Let's, I'll give us about